L, founder of the Black Long COVID Experience. And we're going to be talking about the impact of long COVID on the Black community and how Black leaders and activists are helping shape the response to long COVID. Welcome, Chimére. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for having me. Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, all of you all, for having me, for inviting me. Let me just say this before we had a conversation. I have noticed a substantial decrease in the amount of organizations like ours even recognizing Black History Month. There has been a perpetual decline, and even ushering in a Happy Black History Month, welcome to Black History Month. And I think that's a travesty especially for where we are in today's climate. I am under the theory, and it's my theory, that anti-Blackness is one of the most powerful and progressive natures of discrimination. It's actually been so powerful that it leads all of our, so for me, what that means for me is not that only Black people are discriminated against. What I'm saying is that because of the nature and the origin of our country, anti-Blackness was very much a foundational aspect of discrimination. So this year, more than any year before, based upon what we see happening in our country and our world, we have to become very intentional about recognizing everybody's culture. And for a lot of Black people, Black History Month is one of the only times in this country's history or this country's calendar year where we feel seen or valued by nonprofits, by big box brands, by companies and things like that. So I really appreciate you all going out of your way to invite me, because I haven't received a lot of names on my dance card this month. And so that's exactly why I always choose to move at the pace of my own, at the beat of my own drum, because I believe that visibility in our spaces is what will dampen the progress of discrimination on all of us. It'll stop or it'll reduce the otherizing that happens to each and every one of us. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I give honor to you today for doing this.
Oh, we're honored to have you, Chimére. Really.
Thank you.
Yep. And that's exactly why we wanted to do, this call in honor of Black History Month, because, we see statistics and studies out there that, when you're looking at the impact of the pandemic and the prevalence of long COVID, it's like, people, communities are more marginalized, like, the Black community, the Latinx community, the LGBTQ community, studies are showing that they have higher rates of long COVID. But when it comes to the long COVID advocacy space, the space is just so incredibly white.
Yeah.
And those something is not matching.
Chimére,
when it comes to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chimére, I'm curious about first your story about with COVID and long COVID. And if you could tell us a bit about that.
Well, I'll keep it brief, because I know we have more to discuss, but I was a teacher in 2020, got a little tickle in my throat during the 2 weeks that we were supposed to be out. The state of Maryland, we were supposed to be out to give ourselves time to prepare for the pandemic that they weren't calling a pandemic at that time. And my tickle turned into brain fog. It turned into vision impairment, hearing impairment, cognitive impairment. I lost 30 pounds in about 2-3 weeks time. I developed dent cataracts in both of my eyes at different times. I was unable to swallow. My eyes were red, as many of us have experienced. They were red, they were yellow, they were blurry. I could not remember names, people who were calling my phone, checking on me, because I completely stopped communicating with people because I couldn't speak, I couldn't think, I couldn't process. I was fainting. I had a lot of different, over 50 to 60 symptoms, that now have progressed into over hundreds of symptoms that people with long COVID can acquire. So what I did was, the first week, because it was unlike anything I'd ever experienced, I went to the doctor. And that very first time of going to the doctor started this downward decline of not only my health, but my understanding of the privilege I thought I had as an individual with an insurance card, with a good job, getting health care. What I realized very quickly, that as a Black woman receiving health care or even a diagnosis of COVID-19 at that time, and Amanda, you know what that was like, and COVID-19 and long COVID, it became increasingly apparent to me that my skin color, along with the other assumptions made about me because of my skin color, because of my career, because of my previous health history, that I was not being taken seriously. And I actually it took me 12 visits to the hospital and 2 years to receive a clinical formal long COVID diagnosis. There were two things that I wanted to achieve the very first time I went to the hospital. My only two goals were so that I didn't want to die. So I'm being very honest. I didn't want to die because I never felt anything like COVID before or since. Okay. And number two, as a teacher in an urban community in Baltimore at that time, all I kept thinking to myself is, when I get back to school, I never want my students to experience the racism and the discrimination that I experienced at these hospitals. Now, we're talking about Johns Hopkins. We're talking about one of the most elite hospitals in the country, telling me that I'm fine. I am a teacher. I'm anxious because of my career. When I'm sitting here telling a doctor, a white man, that I had never felt anything like that, nothing on my health history suggested that there was anything else wrong with me. I was hearing them whisper about my white blood and red blood cell count being extremely low, while telling me I should go home and rest for 2 weeks. And like I always say, my 2 weeks never came. I'm lying in my bed right now with the pillows behind me because people who had more knowledge, more skill than I did, kept telling me to wait 2 weeks. So that's my story. And so because of those two things, not wanting to die and not wanting my students to experience it, and then realizing how many people were coming forward, white and Black and all other races, we were all telling the same story. But my focus became very intently on, wow, as a Black woman, I've seen people other Black women explain this, but I've never seen it up close. So I became very hyper-focused on telling the stories and motivating Black people to advocate for equitable health care and treatment, because I didn't receive it and I didn't want anybody else to experience that. And that's what I've been doing for 6 years. Good, bad, ugly, and different. That's what I've tried to do. And that's what I continue to do today.
Do you want to talk a bit about the Black Long COVID Experience, the organization that you founded?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not an organization. It's a business. It's my business. And the reason why I started the business is because, I want to be honest. I wasn't sure if I wanted to start a nonprofit organization. All I knew is that I wanted to help people. I wanted to be, my godmother in Baltimore, who took very good care of me when I was very, very ill with COVID and long COVID for the first 2 years. I learned from her in order to be effective that I had to bypass all of the red tape and all of the applications and trying to appease this person and get this. I love nonprofit organizations and I love what they do. But for me, spending most of my time in Baltimore watching a short little 5'4" woman, 5'4" woman with a voice like a giant, watching her get food from grocery stores and food banks and watching her give on the same day that she would get the food and other things like that. I learned how to effectively help people that way. So I didn't need a nonprofit. All I needed was just a name and a business, because I also at one time was providing consulting services. So what I do is I don't even make a lot of money off my business. What I do intend to do, and what I've always done, is share information through different channels, my Substack, my social media pages and platforms. But my first intention, and the thing that I do the most, is even if it comes out of my pocket, I give to other people who struggle with long COVID, ME/CFS, and any other severe chronic illness or disability. I don't play about that. So I don't need anybody behind me or in front of me to tell me to do that. I do that because that is what I've been taught to do. Give, and it shall be given unto you. And even if most of the time with long COVID brain, as you all know, even if I forget I gave, I don't care, because my mission is to give to people who are in my situation. Number one, because somebody gave to me. And number two, because I know what it's like to be in the crunches in a house with no food. No access to anything. I was dead broke after I spent my $5,000 of savings getting care. So the Black Long COVID is a motivational tool. It's where I share, other things I do. I'm a dog sitter due to my disability. I celebrate Black History Month. I share about anything that pertains to me, and I share other things, like I'll be sharing other things happening with long COVID, the march and stuff of other people, share things that we all do. But it's my business. I don't make too much off of it, but I do help people, and that's always been my mission.
You do. I've watched you do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And this is not a bragging thing. This is not about me saying, oh, I give. It just is. What I found is that, oftentimes in any, because things are so political sometimes, is that we have to, a lot of times in order to get things from people, we got to make them sign 5 pages to get $25. Well, if I got $25 in my business account, then you got it. Okay. If I got $5 and you got to GoFundMe, why I can't give you the 5? I don't need you to sign no document saying that I gave you $5. You needed it. I got it. And that's what I do.
Wow, I really have the chills. Thank you so much, Chimére, for being here. I am just so excited to also hear a little bit more about Mount Blackmore.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that and promote that.
Okay, absolutely. So Mount Blackmore to me it's just a little spin. It's a chide off of Mount Rushmore. Most of us, unless you live in the area or you have a deep sense of wanting to know about American history, most of us, if I'm being honest, talking to a slew of people every day, and not many of us talk about Mount Rushmore as much. So what I did was I said, you know what? I said, Mount Rushmore has a purpose. It may not be my thing. I don't recognize those 4 presidents as my founding fathers, and that's okay. Somebody else may, that's fine. However, what it represents is the permanence. That architecture in South Dakota on stolen land will always be there. Unless somebody comes and blows it all up, it's never going anywhere. But the visibility for Black people with long COVID and other severe chronic illnesses is not something that we see often. There'll never be a piece of architecture in this country that features my face, or Nisha McCrae from MDICA, or Cynthia Adenig even, or somebody else, people who have made imprints on the movement. Okay. And so my thought is, why not bring in people Black people who have a story. I want to see their faces. I want to hear their stories, and I want to share with other people. So the theme this year is, yes, the Mount Blackmore of long COVID, but it also includes other people who suffer and who are disabled by and who are living with other severe chronic illnesses. It's a spin on that, but it also offers the visibility, as I mentioned, the validity. Because as we know, Black health stories are often not believed. The media makes a lot of a big point to talk about maternity health, and that's very important in the Black community. However, there are so many other aspects and so many other health conditions that we all know about that we should be talking about as well. And so I want to put people individually. I want to tell their individual stories, but I also want to collectively bring them together on a collage that's kind of sort of like Mount Rushmore, but it offers them the visibility, the validity of their stories being believed, and it offers them an opportunity to build community. Because that's something that Black people with severe chronic illnesses need most of all. We don't need perfection from other organizations. We don't need you to be performative and pretend that you understand our plight. We need people to listen, to trust us, and for us to build trust. And we also need community. So those are the three things I care about this year: visibility, validity, and community. And so, I've always heard from other organizations, well, where are the Black people? Can you go out and find them? We haven't seen them. That's always been what I've heard as a reason or excuse not to include us. So my thought this year was, okay, well, if I'm not going to look for anyone else to be what I can be to me and what other people can be to me. I know people right now who are Black people who are doing amazing things that I would love to be on the Mount. But here's the other aspect of it that makes it unique. I'm not just looking for the actual patients. I'm also looking for family members. I'm looking for pets. I'm looking for friends and community members. People. If a person has had an impact on your life while you're living with long COVID or another chronic illness, put them on the Mount if you want to. My sole goal is to prove people wrong when they say that Black people are not present in chronic health care. That's not true. We may be quiet, but my other theme is we showing absent. We are here. We just need the visibility and the belief, the validity, and we need to start building community. It's important.
100%.
And what kind of submissions are you going to be taking? Is that going to be like written content, video?
Oh yeah. So what I have is we can feature. What I tell people to do is they can go to my website blacklongcovidexperience.com, and they can go where I say Happy Black History Month to the viewers, and there is an opportunity for them to go to a Google form, especially for people who are disabled who don't want to fill out a whole bunch of information. It's just very quick 6 questions, and they're answering those. They're uploading a photo, and all I'm doing is providing them, showing their photo, sharing their quick story, and then adding them to a collage. So it's very simple, very easy. I didn't want to make it anything that was too complicated because, a lot of times we don't have the spoons or the energy for a whole bunch of rigmarole. I just wanted people to see, and I also wanted people to have a way to contact these folks, which is why at the end of the form, one of the things I say in my DC slang is holla at me at. Meaning, give me your email address or your social media platform or however else people can contact you, because that's the most important thing, is the community. Black people in the long COVID ME/CFS communities, we do not have enough community. And there has been no real organization that has really given us the space to build community and to expand outside of just to expand to be a greater part of their community. Just because you give me a title doesn't mean I'm a part of your community.
So is that collage going to be posted on the Black Long COVID experience site once it's done?
Absolutely. Everybody that signs up for the Google form for the Mount Blackmore of long COVID, they will be featured individually on my socials, even though I'm being suppressed because I talk about long COVID and Blackness all the time. So they're in peace in our world. So like many of us, my social media platforms have been suppressed. I've never broken any rules, never insulted anybody, never harassed anybody, but I'm suppressed. Like many of us who talk about the same old things, air supply, air support, climate, COVID, things like that. As you all are noticing, we're being suppressed. So I am going to feature those folks on my social media platforms. And I'm also definitely going to put them on the Black Long COVID website because I want people to be able to click and reach out to those people and build relationships with them. There's so much gold in the Black long COVID community. So much. We did a really horrible job of maintaining and keeping up with the intelligence, with the vigor, with the passion, and with the knowledge that so many of us, mostly women, and I welcome men as well, and I welcome all people. We did a really horrible job after 2022 and 3 of continuing to stay engaged with some of those folks. And that's been the challenge. And so I think that's where we fell short, is that we did not continue the mission of making sure that Black people were included. Because if more Black people would have been included, then we would also see other races included, and we would not now be so disjointed. So when we say stuff like ICE out, then we would mean it for all of us, not just a few of us. You understand what I'm saying? And from the very
not just because it's affecting white people.
Yeah, it would be, I made mistakes in my advocacy journey. I'm not going to tell y'all no lies. I've taken money from people that, as I think about it in the past, as I think about it, and as I've done my own personal healing work, you shouldn't have taken that. You should have given other opportunities to people. I was so pressed about doing the work. Right? As a Black woman, just do all the work. And then I became entrenched by money, right? Oh, and I got to pay my bills and I got to do it because I got to make sure that the lights are on. But I wish I, in hindsight, I wish I would have given other opportunities to other people. However, I'm only one woman. I'm only one person. And I'm doing the very best I can. One thing I've never shied away from, whether I like you, love you, hate you, if you've done something in this movement, I'm going to call your name. Okay, I may not speak to you ever again, but if you have been instrumental, I'm going to call your name, because to me, regardless, your imprint, and I pray that, all of us can come to a place of healing and knowing ourselves where we can be better and get better for ourselves and each other. But if you've done something of note, not elitism, but of note for the movement, then I'll call your name. And so that's one thing I really wish I would have done more of. I think I did the best I could at the time with what I knew. But yes, absolutely. This time, this is not about me. This is about showing new faces, fresh faces, people who are connected to us in adjacency. And but I do wish that 6 years ago, when I said every single year that we should be inclusive with how we move, from an advocacy point. I promise you, if people had listened to that and taken that seriously, and from other people too, we would not be so disconnected.
Yeah.
Tell me, if you can, tell me what the long COVID movement is doing all together.
Exactly.
We were literally just talking about that.
We should be, Amanda,
Oh yeah.
We should be a fist like this.
Yeah.
But because of and that's why I say I divest, I and the Black long COVID experience, I divest from all this organizational BS.
Yeah.
Because that's not how you get things done. no disrespect. You get things done by really, really wanting to get things done. And that's how once I became clear about my mission and who I wanted to help, that's what I started to do.
I don't know if you remember that.
I don't need to take your money. I will. Yeah, I'm sorry, right quick. I will listen. I want y'all to hear me when I say this. Oh, everybody. I will drink water and eat bread. Do you hear me?
Absolutely.
I need to eat less anyway. I need to. I eat too much. I eat too many sweets. Okay. Listen, if you put some pound cake and some ho-hos and some sugar in front of me, I'm going to eat it. Okay. But I will eat bread and I will drink water forever before I take another dime from a place that has not invested in Black people and other people that are within their community and who stay silent about the problems of their community. Okay? I refuse. I'm not taking another dollar. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You check my bank account, you'll see I haven't taken a dollar in a long time because I don't have time to I don't have time to be speaking out of two sides of my mouth. You understand? I'm sorry, Amanda, what were you going to ask?
Oh, no, that article that Ed Young did in September 2021, we were talking about it on Twitter the next day. It was a big, long one, mostly on research. It was the one that he talked to me for. He said that the one thing he thought didn't come through strongly enough was just how that pull of no person left behind was with all of us. And we've lost that. We've just lost that. And it really bothers me.
Yeah, we did. We lost it, I think, because we stopped being very clear that while we stopped being very clear about the fact that discrimination, like I said, there is a top-down effect with discrimination. So anti-Blackness plays a huge part in homophobia. It plays a big part in otherizing people who are poor or who are lower class. This caste system, all of this stuff comes from a foundational aspect of anti-Blackness and anti-ism. And so I truly believe that when sadly what happens in our country is that money speaks louder than humanity sometimes. And that will cause any organization or any fist to kind of start everybody looking at their fingers like, oh, well, if I can get the money from here and I know, you're in my group, but I don't have to represent you because this person doesn't like your kind. So I'll take the money, but then I'll do this. And it's a whole bunch of that. I mean, as much money as we were able to get in December 2020, everybody should be further by now. And we lost the plot because we stopped remembering the others. I've always said this, once you help the least of those, you help the rest. Because you cannot receive power or when you intend to help people who are even at the bottom, people who you believe at the bottom, then guess what happens? People on the bottom don't want to be on the bottom, so they want to make sure that the people that on every level get something, right? Even people who are poor, like I realize I'm looking through the financial aspects of what class, what caste, and I'm in the lower class, and I have been for a few years. But here's my goal. As even a poor person, technically by standards in this country, I still have a goal to help the people who are around me, and so that I can help somebody above me. So, I mean, hopefully one day we can get back on point. But as long as we continue in this vein, we won't be able to.
So just thinking back to like 2020, 2021 versus 2022, there was like this glimmer of hope in 2020 that like things were changing and things could be different, could be better amongst that, absolute chaotic dumpster fire of a year. And And if you'll remember back to 2020, COVID was not the only major social event going on, because one of the other really major social events was the death of George Floyd and all of the protests that emerged in the aftermath of that. And I feel like we've gone backwards on that, kind of on the same timeline that we've gone backwards on COVID and any inkling of progress that we might have seen there. Do you think there's a relationship between the backlash of those two events?
Yeah, I'll say it to me, and this is my personal thought, it was capitalism, right? Because it was COVID opened up the door. COVID did such a very interesting thing in our society and in many societies, but we went from the announcement of a pandemic to the death, to the open public horrendous death of a Black man in Minnesota, also to a Black woman in Tennessee, Breonna Taylor. I think she lived in Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And so many people had decided that they were going to divest from big corporations, right? Black people were saying, hey, we're not going to spend our money here. And just like we always do in this country, no matter what it is, we become very reactive instead of proactive. So everybody was like, okay, well, let's appeal to this because we panicked, right? So then we forgot that a Black man died and we were protesting. And then so many of us were in the middle of who couldn't do anything. Because I just remember watching as much as I could of those protests and feeling horrible that I couldn't take my students out in Baltimore or DC to protest. And then what happened was, with the pandemic and with all of those things, what our government and other entities started doing was throwing money at us. Yeah. So what's the quickest way to get you to be quiet? It's to give you a bunch of money and give you a bunch of opportunity for you to just squander this money so you can shut up about big box companies and racism and watching a person, a human being, be killed right before your eyes, right? So then, you got the pandemic and stuff, and you throwing money at people, and people are like, oh, well, what's going on again? What's happening? Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was one of the worst things that we could have done. And we mishandled COVID in 2020. I mean, as we can all think back on it, that was such a horrendous mishandling of a pandemic. And what makes me incredibly sad is that one of the reasons people don't take it as serious, still take COVID and long COVID and other severe illnesses that we've acquired as a result of COVID, is because our nation didn't take it seriously, right? We no longer care about these social issues, like when you all are working to educate people about public health and public air supply and support and things like that. Well, how can, we forgot that all these things are geopolitical and they all matter within a pandemic. Well, if you stop funding climate and you tell people that it's okay for them to go outside without masks, then you are, and you pretend that, oh, you know what? I want you to go shopping again, so don't wear a mask, because masks scare people. They put people in this, they fear monger. It was so much fear mongering. And so what happened is you had all of those things happening, and then people rushing back to some form of normalcy without being honest with themselves and saying, we'll never see normalcy again. And that masking is the most humane, compassionate, kind, caring thing that you can do. And see, what happens is when the others or marginalized communities aren't taught that, because we aren't often taught that, then everybody runs amok. Everybody does what they want because it's like, oh, I want to go to the mall. Oh, I want to go out to the concert. People going to concerts and dying months later. Don't y'all understand? Don't y'all see? You see your favorite artists. You see, I'm talking about some of my favorite band members, some of my favorite podcasters, some of my favorite people. I'm literally watching one of my favorite podcast teams, right? Famous, 20 billion views a year. The host can't remember anything. He just he just complained for 2 months of cluster headaches. The others, they all keep getting sick and giving each other whatever they're getting. I mean, come on, y'all. All for the sake of looking like we're fine.
And I think there's like just enough delay between the initial infection and the long-term effects that people can willingly not recognize the connection.
Come on. And that's what they're doing.
Yep.
But it's getting real now, because now we're talking about people coming on the internet saying, one of my favorite radio personalities, Angela Yee, in New York, she said her brother had headaches for a week and then he died.
Oh my God. We're
reading long COVID research that's now saying that early Alzheimer's and dementia is actually, it's no longer just in our heads for real. It's really in our heads, right? My short-term memory is getting worse and worse and worse. And this is 6 years down the line with no treatment, no cure. So the same thing that's happening to us and our bodies and this ignorance we no longer can pretend that we have is the same thing happening in one of the most beautiful, diverse states in our country, Minnesota. It's no wonder that Minnesota is now once again at the precipice of all of this. It's the most diverse state. I was doing work with a company there at one time, and Minnesota got, because of its diversity and the beauty of that, it received a lot of federal funds to fight COVID and to fight other things, because there's such a beautiful community of a little bit of everybody there. So now you're trying to shut that state down, and it's just crazy. So we've missed the plot again. I mean, what's wrong with putting on a mask to save your brother or your sister? And it's just, and that's why I'm glad you invited me, because what you all do, you're talking about, air supply and things like that. That's something also that people who are, and I know we're getting close to time, but people who are lower income, people who don't get the information, they also need to understand how important it is that the air quality is, masking, and also understanding what no climate funding or anything is doing to our health with long COVID and other severe health conditions. So I know you asked me about George Floyd, Melissa, but to me, it's all relative. What is happening to us is also what's happening to the silence. We cannot afford to be silenced, because what's happening to us with all of these new supposedly mysterious health things is also happening in another way to Minnesotans or people who live in Maine now, people who live in Atlanta. I mean, so it's like, and not only is it long COVID now, there is an uptick in HIV and AIDS. And so it's all interconnected. So we got to do the work.
All right, we have Sarah's hand up, and then we have Hope's hand up.
Hey,
Sarah,
do
you have a comment or question?
Okay, yes, I do.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah,
I think she's
saying, and I can't hear.
There we go. Sarah, I think you have a bandwidth.
Oh, am I still muted? Oh, do I? Okay. Hold on. How about
we can
that?
hear you, but
Is that better?
You're on now. There was like a
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sarah.
All right, again.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering like what kind of like the plan is for kind of increasing awareness on the dangers of COVID in the Black community. That's something that our organizations like think about quite a bit in terms of like increasing awareness on like how bad COVID is, like with all this research that we're all looking at. And we like just like finding out and like validating how bad it truly is. And with, you know, like now it's more common than asthma in children. Like, how do we reach the Black community, and like who do we platform?
That's such a hard question for me. It does sometimes feel like when I'm asked that, it feels like, to me, it's like one of those go fetch them kind of questions, because I've been asked that for 6 years. And sometimes I hate that question because, sadly, what also happens is that what we don't make important, different communities don't make it important. So it's been very difficult for me, even as a Black woman, to get the eyes and the ears of larger media companies like Essence or an Ebony or other people, Roland Martin and Don Lim, people who are who have major platforms, because it's not sexy anymore, you know? And so it's difficult to ask that question. I think that, but I also think that organizations with mostly white populations, you need to be very derelict and very true to asking continuously and making it your priority to ask, who do we have any Black, we're platforming this because it needs to be on your website. It needs to be on your social media. There needs to be constant and a consistent awareness of what you're trying to do, because that's the only way you build trust. You don't build trust by Monday talking about it and then by Tuesday you on to something else. Yeah. You know, because there is a broken trust in our public health community, and people who are marginalized. You have got to be willing to do the work. Even you yourselves, your organization, reach out to those Black organizations, because sometimes, and I'm being honest, sometimes it does take white people to reach out to Black media and to reach out to Black Black people. Have recently connected with, and I'm going to interview a NIH reporter who wrote a beautiful article, a paper about what she learned as far as the medical racism that we stopped talking about in 2023. And so I found her, and so the same thing that I do when I get on my internet is the same thing that you do. It's still hard for me. It's hard for me on this. The dichotomy is I often have a hard time reaching Black people, even though those people, other Black people, are my mission and my goal. But I also have problems reaching white people. So you really have to be intentional. You have to put yourself in those spaces. I'm starting to see, which I'm very proud of, and I hope that you all see it too when I share it into my stories or Instagram or whatever. Like, for instance, this morning, I saw 36 Black disabled creators. That was huge to me. I have in 6 years, I've never seen that. Now, of course, these are people who have a larger following than me. I'm very proud of those folks who made that list, right? But yes, check out that list. I can't remember. I'll repost it on my Instagram, Chimére L, where you all can see it. But I was so impressed. Those are 36 people that I did. A few of them I knew, but 32 of the others I didn't know. So you got to do your digging. There's also this new group, I believe, that's called people in the Black folks in the South who are disabled, and they're starting to make some noise in the community. So you got to do your research. But what I'm very proud of is that now I see that there are people who are really starting to say, hey, here's some visibility. Here I am. And we're not doing it with Essence or, you know, the people who own them, or we don't need MS Now or CNN. We are actually doing this ourselves, and I'm glad to be a part of that. So that's what I would say. Keep looking, and don't stop until you find people that you can truly connect with.
Hope, you had a question?
Yeah, and this might actually answer Sarah's question, or at least speak to it a little bit, at least in my opinion. But what role do you think desirability politics, and within that, like anti-Blackness, colorism, ableism, plays a role in our community building, but also our willingness to mask?
Oh, Hope, that is such a sexy question.
And we're going to need to keep it brief.
We don't have that much time. Oh my God!
Our meeting's going to be, they're going to close our meeting up in a minute or two.
Oh my God, Hope. Oh my God. I want to answer that I'm going to answer that on my TikTok or something, because that's so beautiful. It plays a major role. And let me tell you this, I think about that often, because even before I started becoming an advocate, I was a makeup artist, right? So I have let's just talk about desirability. I have the ability to turn this siren stuff on and off. And I notice that based upon how I look on a particular post is how many likes I get. So when you're talking about desirability, we still, even with these chronic illnesses that are disabling and murderous, we're talking about people wanting us to look a certain way before they offer us any visibility. If you don't look a certain way, they don't want you. And that's a great question. And it's sad to say, but it's very much prevalent in how we treat each other. So yes, absolutely.
That's
Melissa,
a great
I
question.
agree.
And oh my gosh, we could unpack that for
we have
weeks,
to,
right?
We gotta do that one day, because I want
absolutely.
Really,
maybe we should get you back onto another call, because
we should.
Yeah, I love it.
It's also
the surface today.
Fanny is also being on a podcast.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes. Okay. So yes, let's talk about that then. Hope, that was a great question. I appreciate you. I'm so sorry I couldn't get into the details, but this was a dope conversation. Now y'all gonna have me up for like 2 hours, and then my adrenaline is gonna be up.
Fantastic. All right. Google Meet's going to close us off pretty soon. So thank you all for coming. It's so great to be able to chat with you, Chimére.
Yeah, you too.
Just incredibly informative, and, teaching us all to kind of open our hearts and minds up to just the richness of the experience of COVID and long COVID in America and, around the world even. So Chimére can be... You can look at her website, the blacklongcovidexperience.com. She's also got a Substack at let's see, what is it? The blackest side of LLC.substack.com.
Yeah.
And we will send out we'll try and send out links to everybody who joined today. So thanks for coming, y'all. That was a fantastic conversation.
Can I do
and keep this in mind? I'm sorry. Right quick, if you ever want to hop on a conversation with me and just continue this conversation, I have my own Google Meet as well, and there are no time limits. So I'm happy to extend that to you all, because I want to keep
that's terrific.
Yeah,
that's
so
terrific.
Don't worry about that. Don't let that be the reason why don't let that be the reason why we don't talk again.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy. Love you lots.
All right, thank you. Melissa, hit me up. Hit me up if you want to ask a question, and I'll be sure to answer it.
Okay, I think you should go on be on Fan's podcast so you can have a.
I agree. I think that would be fantastic.
I just wanted to do a bit of housekeeping before we get booted. So FAN and Air Support Project host these community calls every 2 weeks. Our next one is going to be on February the 22nd. That is a Sunday, with Ruth Booker of Clean Air for Kids UK. She is going to be talking about cancer through the lens of the pandemic, specifically talking about her child's experience with leukemia and being treated for that in 2020. So that is going to be Sunday, the 22nd, a bit different from our usual time, like this one is.
At noon Eastern.
Noon Eastern. We'll be posting the sign-up link and more promotions for that, and we really hope to see you all there.
All right.
Love you, Amanda.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming, Chimére, and thanks for everybody else for coming.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.